Well, this is actually nice. I love a much smaller group, and I would actually love it if it was interactive. Feel free to stop me anywhere during this very brief talk. I have nothing to disclose. Everybody should be familiar with the mission statement of SAGES: improve quality patient care through education, research, innovation, and leadership, principally in gastrointestinal and endoscopic surgery. And I highlighted education, and I'll get back to that. So, I have been with SAGES for quite a while, and I've seen all of these educational products come to fruition. You got FLS, FES, FUSE, you got the fundamentals of safe cholecystectomy program, and then all the guidelines that we produce. And I think I've been on all four of these committees at one point or another. And the only reason I highlight it is during my tenure as the chair of global affairs, along with Ray Price, who you're going to hear speak a little bit later, you know, one of the things we really wanted to do is see what really sets us apart. Everybody sees, I don't know if you guys watch Saturday morning cartoons, but you ever see those commercials with Operation Smile? They're always on Saturday mornings. I don't know if anybody sees those. We want to be different. And we don't want to be medical missionaries. We actually want to do some education. And I'll talk about that in a little bit. The Global Affairs mission, as you can imagine, mirrors SAGE's mission: promote global collaboration, exchange of knowledge, and optimize patient care, adoption, sustainability, basic laparoscopic and endoscopic procedure, education, research, innovation, and training. So for 12 years, Global Affairs, you know, we went to all these places around the world: Nicaragua, Peru, Tanzania, China, Mongolia, Haiti, Argentina, Colombia, Mexico, Mexico being one of the most recent, but also Costa Rica, that we'll hear about as well. And I wanted to put a little bit of background and tell you why we're kind of leveraging our position or what we saw the opportunity with Global Affairs. Surgical NGOs, this is actually published in 2016 through the World Journal of Surgery. There are 403 surgical NGOs providing surgery in all 139 low and middle income countries in the world. 80% of these were US, UK, Canada, India, or Australia. I tried to highlight in the results section. Common places were India, Haiti, Kenya, Ethiopia. And as you've heard, we haven't been to any of those places. Most common specialties are general surgery, 184 of those 403 NGOs, OBGYN, and plastic surgery. So what has Go Global been? It's basically, and I'm not trying to put a label on it here at all, but it's basically been SAGE's NGO for international general surgery training and education. That's what it's really traditionally been. We would get funding through the SAGES Foundation and other funding sources, and we put together a couple of trips a year, and we go to all these various places around the globe. But then that was kind of it. There's a lot. There were some politics involved. That's not going to be a part of this talk. I'm happy to talk to people about it. But we were kind of come, do a course, kind of go home, operate on some people. Whoops. Can I go back? I got that little red back button. There we go. Okay, good. So what can we do to kind of set us apart? And from other NGOs, and what we thought we could do is create an enduring, sustainable culture of education, clinical excellence, recording of outcomes, quality patient care, and patient safety. This is what doesn't go on in the rest of the world. And I want to be clear, I say this to all the international audiences every time I'm in another country. Surgeons in other countries, and I'm not going to throw anybody else under the bus. I'll throw myself under the bus. They're a better surgeon than I am. And the last thing in the world that I think when I go to other countries, you're a better surgeon than I am. I'm not there to teach you how to do surgery. They do way more than I do with a lot less than I do. But what they don't have is this infrastructure. And when we first engaged in Eduardo will remember this, engaged in Mexico, one of the things I was really trying to do as the chair is trying to get some data. Because if you want to hear the backstory, the SAGES Foundation wants to know what they're paying for. So really try to say, okay, well, we'll get the data where we are now, we'll do an intervention, then we'll collect data afterwards and see what kind of an impact that we have. It was hard. Eduardo was helpful, very helpful. Scouring literature, trying to find data on conversion rates, common bowel duct injury rates, laparoscopy, just anything to get my hands on. So other countries just don't have the same culture that we do as far as data collection, outcome reporting, patient safety, et cetera, et cetera. And that's okay. But it's something that really, one of the things that we think that we can leverage as part of the GLAP program. Important point too, and I learned this as part of this curriculum development, the 3 domains of learning through Bloom. This was published way back in 1956. And for the record, I wasn't around then. But there's basically 3 domains, and you've got to, when you're teaching somebody anything, you've got to pay attention to these 3 domains. A cognitive, that's the studying, that's knowing the facts, reading the books, et cetera, et cetera. But the psychomotor, I'll skip to the bottom, that's teaching them the skills, teaching them in the operating room, the differences with laparoscopic instruments, et cetera. But the thing that's really interesting is the affective, the growth in the feelings or emotional areas and the attitude or self. And that's something that I never knew, that I found that as we kind of engaged through the GLAP program, become very, very important in creating the relationships with people and creating this culture of enduring learning and education. So what is GLAP? My talk is leveraging our education, but it's really dual focused. It's not just teaching them how to operate. The laparoscopic skills are part of the program, yes, but it's really more of an educational program, teaching them how to teach people. And we find that, we were very pleasantly surprised. We were a little bit nervous about getting residents involved because we wanted to teach faculty members. And we said, oh, why, what do the residents really have to offer? But when we went to Mexico and other parts of the world and the residents were there, we found that the residents really lit a fire under the tails of the attendings, that you're going to do this, you're going to learn it because I want to learn it, and you got to teach me. And that really, really promoted the educators program for sure. So what makes GLAP a little bit different? It's an educational product. It's a product because Ray Price is the one that really spearheaded that. I can't take credit for that at all. And it's really a manual, and it's soup to nuts. It's a whole manual that goes through all the lectures and all the processes that are involved in learning basic laparoscopic skills, and also obviously the educators program, and allows for enduring process improvement. One of the things that I feel very, very strongly is it's not medical tourism, don't want it to be medical tourism. As I mentioned before, it's really 2 arms. It's the skills arm and the education arm. And the education arm is something that in the GLAP manual and with the lectures and everything, and the availability, it's something that the facilities can reference continually. So the specific goals, and I'll summarize my talk with this. Obviously, we want to increase adoption of laparoscopic techniques. One of the things that this is, and maybe I don't want to be Pollyannish, but one of the things I firmly believe in is the human spirit. There's been a lot of talks throughout my years as the chair, should we have a laparoscopic colon program? Should we have a laparoscopic foregut program? Should we do all of these different things? I'm just going to give you my bias. I believe in the human spirit, and what I mean by that is once you get people comfortable with laparoscopy, they're going to go, and they're going to take off, and they're going to start doing these things, and they're going to start doing them on their own. So I don't, I really wonder, everybody used to say, well, why you teach them lap chole? It's like it's a basic or, pretty straightforward standard operation. Well, that's kind of why. It's because it's basic and straightforward. And once you kind of get used to it, and I think it's just as we learned it as residents, once you get used to using the scope, just like once you get used to using the robot, you don't want to use anything else. You get comfortable with it. So I think that increase not only of obviously cholecystectomy, but other laparoscopic techniques. Obviously, we want to improve outcomes and create an environment of education, research, and innovation. And this is one of the things that the residents are demanding. How are we going to measure its success? Sustainability, enduring collaboration with our partners. And as I mentioned in the last slide, I firmly believe it absolutely will translate into other MIS procedures. It is absolutely critical, and this has been one of the tough hurdles, is absolutely critical to report out or report to us outcomes. As I mentioned before, when you're being funded and you're a little bit emboldened to the people who fund you, you have to have some tangible evidence that you've been successful. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak, and again, I'd be happy to answer any questions.